Hi guys, so in this part of the video series I'm going to talk to you about diet. Now diet is the most important aspect of a nutritional balancing program, so it's really important that you look at this video plenty of times, you read the articles and you really try and get the diet nailed down as much as possible, because you'll find that if you can do the diet as well as you can, usually the better you will feel. So, in the beginning of starting your diet, you might find it a little bit difficult. That's because most people have been growing up living on sugars, living on carbohydrates, living on junk foods. So in the beginning, it can be a little bit of a shock, not only to your everyday lifestyle, but it can be a little bit of a shock to the system. Now, some people start the diet and it's quite simple for them. A lot of people are actually, quite well compared to a lot of other people, and they start the diet and they don't get many reactions and they can kind of do it pretty easily. But for a few people, and quite a lot of people, it can be a little bit more tricky. Me, in the beginning of my nutritional balancing program, I obviously came across Dr. Wilson's articles, and I was a very sick person, and I was constantly living on junk foods, on ready meals, on sugars, and for me it was a bit of a tricky situation changing from that to a diet mainly in cooked vegetables. And what I found is that my body had some sugar reactions and I was having withdrawal symptoms from sugar. So I had some sweats, I had some fatigue, I had a little bit of an insomnia. And this is all part of the process of retraining the body to get to understand that these foods that we recommend are the true foods of what the body should be sustaining itself on. So it's really important that if you do suffer from sugar issues, a lot of people don't actually even realise that they've got a sugar problem, that in the beginning it might be a little bit tricky for people like that. So usually what we find is that most people do actually run on sugar and simple carbohydrates, and it takes a while to get over that little initial gap. They say it's around 7 weeks until the body and the brain start moving through a process called ketosis. And basically what ketosis is when the body releases chemicals from the brain, which trains the body into understanding that it needs to use proteins and fats and vegetables as its main source of energy. This is actually the natural way of the body producing energy, and you may hear it from the paleo diet quite a lot. A lot of people these days that do run on sugars and simple carbohydrates actually have some DNA changes within the body, because it's such a stressful thing. It physically changes the DNA structure in order for the body to survive and live on sugars and simple carbohydrates. So as long as you understand the kind of issues that's involved, it can get you over the process much quicker, much more simply. Understand that healing reactions are a big part of nutritional balancing, and healing reactions, we've done a full video dedicated to healing reactions, because there's times when the diet will bring up certain healing reactions, old infections, old traumas that come up and are released as a result of giving the body what it needs, giving the body the correct nutrients and increasing the energy and the vitality of the body. So the diet aspect is quite a large subject, so I'm going to be cutting it down into some different segments. In this video I'm going to give a general overview about the diet. On the next videos I'm going to be talking about the goals of the diet, what we expect to get out of the diet and the main aims. And then I'm going to cut down the different aspects of the diet in terms of food and beverages. So we'll be talking about vegetables, we'll be talking about starches and complex carbohydrates, we'll be talking about proteins, we'll be talking about fats and oils, fruits, beverages, fermented foods, spices and condiments, foods to avoid. After that section I'll be talking about cooking, how to cook the vegetables, what the best thing to do is, the different varieties of cooking vegetables and how to do it. Then I'll be talking a little bit about travel and restaurants. I understand it's quite difficult for people who are following the nutritional balancing program to stick to the program when they're out traveling and in restaurants. We try and get people to stay away from traveling and restaurants because of the issues that it can bring up and the fact that it's quite taxing on the body. But a lot of people obviously are not going to cut out travel and restaurants completely, so I'm going to do a section on that. And then I'm also going to do a section on some examples of how to integrate the diet into your daily routine. So some tips and tricks on how to combine things, how to speed things up, what to do when you're going out for lunch, at work, etc, etc. So for this particular video, I'm going to give a brief overview of the nutritional balancing diet. So the main diet is consisted of an alkaline diet. A lot of people in the health industry understand the importance of an alkaline diet. Most of our bodies today are quite acidic. You hear about that a lot in people with cancer patients, and one of the main natural ways of overcoming and healing cancer is to provide the body with an alkaline diet and an alkaline rich environment, and that kind of kills off the cancer cells. Also, the diet is full of phytonutrients. These are plant-based nutrients that are extremely important for the body, extremely important for overcoming diseases, so that's a big part of nutritional balancing. We tend to say to people that it is best to eat a diet 3 times a day. A lot of people have got sugar issues, and they will find that eating a meal 3 times a day is a little bit difficult, is a little bit tricky for these people. It was for me in the beginning. I had quite an extreme sugar sensitivity, and my sugar levels dipped and rose throughout the day when I was eating meals. So for anyone that is struggling with the amount of meals per day, if you just increase the meals to 6 or 7 smaller meals, you'll find that your energy levels are more at a constant throughout the day, and your sugar is not peaking and dipping. So in general, what we recommend is 9 cups of cooked vegetables every single day. Don't worry too much about measuring exactly 9 cups. It's obviously around 2 to 3 cups per meal if you're eating 3 times a day. And we say that this takes up around 70 to 80% of the diet in nutritional balancing. So it's really, really, really important to eat cooked vegetables, not raw vegetables or any other type of cooking. Cooked vegetables is the best way to go. We say it's good to get obviously a good variety of vegetables in order to get as much minerals as we possibly can. Getting a good variety is obviously the best way of doing that. We say to avoid nightshade vegetables. The nightshade vegetables are not actually vegetables, they're more fruits. Obviously I'll be talking about this a little bit more in the video series, but nightshade vegetables are things like tomatoes, eggplants, courgettes, and a few other different vegetables or fruits. 15% of the diet is animal protein, so we like things like lamb, things like chicken, a little bit of grass-fed beef, turkey, which I'll be talking about more in the video series. We allow people to have 4 ounces of dairy every single day. It's not compulsory on nutritional balancing. You can skip the dairy. Sometimes it can be a little bit hard on people's digestive systems, especially if people are allergic to dairy for whatever reason. We recommend 10% of grains, so things like amaranth, quinoa. We used to recommend brown rice, but we've recently found out that brown rice is full of arsenic, so we've had to cut that out of the diet, unfortunately. We recommend around 5% fats and oils. This varies when you get a hair mineral analysis, depending on your oxidation rate, whether it's fast, whether it's slow. We say no fruit on nutritional balancing program. This is not necessarily because we think fruit's a bad food. It's obviously an excellent food in many ways, but we do find that most people have a very serious sugar imbalance, and even fruits tend to slow down the healing process. So we recommend no fruits and no percent of simple carbohydrates. So this is quite obvious in things that are high in sugar, junk foods, You're talking things like candy, soda pops, chocolate bars, you know, everything it's kind of junk, and a lot of people eat these days. Obviously we like people to stay away from that. So in terms of what types of vegetables, we recommend eating obviously a diet mainly in organic vegetables. We realise that can be a little bit tricky for a few people. Organic can be a little bit more expensive or hard to find. The second best obviously would be non-organic vegetables, fresh vegetables. If people are struggling for that, for whatever reason, frozen would be the next one down. And obviously then you've got canned, which is the least desirable on a nutritional balancing program. But as long as there's some vegetables in there, it's much, much better than the diet that most people are on. Alright, so that's the overview of the diet in a nutritional balancing program. Next, I'll be moving on to goals, and we'll be talking more specifics on what type of vegetables and what type of beverages to drink. Alright, thanks.